guys, good night. Thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning into my channel. And please continue to share, like, and subscribe. Alright, so in tonight's story time, I am just going to tell you a little bit of my journey and what I have been through and how I overcome certain difficulties when they actually arise. Alright, so sit back, grab a popcorn, and please tell a friend to tell a friend. Alright, so 7.5 years ago, I actually ventured into this journey. Right? This is something that I have never ever told many persons around me. Only those who knew actually knew. So I was working at this hotel and I wasn't aware that I was actually pregnant because I was living with a gentleman at the time. I was living with him for 5 years. So I got pregnant, I didn't know. And because the company that I was working, it was actually a contract. So, those hotel, every 3 months you get a contract break. You go off for 2 weeks and then they call you back once you work good and so forth. So there I was a bartender. Part of your duty is to change the beer tank, carry on the empty beer tank when you're leaving or when you're closing the shift and so forth. I was a well-rounded person. I could do either cocktail waitress or bartender. But because of my vast learning ability, I was able to run a bar by myself. Alright, so anyways, there I was actually changing the beer tanks and so forth. Didn't know that I was pregnant. So one day I actually left work and I wasn't feeling well. And I was actually feeling really, really bad. And so I went to the doctor. At the time, I didn't have any health card or anything like that. So, each time you visit a doctor, it will basically mean that you have to spend out of your pocket. Prescription wise, also, you would have to buy a prescription because I didn't have any health card. So I went to the doctor and I told him of my complaints, and then he was asking me if I was pregnant, and I told him no because I'm actually seeing my period. Actually, see my period every month, and he was saying that, are you aware that you can still be pregnant and seeing a period? So I said, I have heard about one or two instances, but I can't say I've actually met someone who actually is actually going through something like that or actually went through something like that. But I always heard persons saying that yes, you can be on your period and still pregnant. So I was very mindful of that fact. Anyways, he told me to do a pregnancy test, and I did the pregnancy test. When I brought back, because after I pee on the thing that they gave you to do, and I took back the test to him, he was like, he can't understand. So I'm like, doctor, what is it? He's saying that it is shown that I am pregnant, but the line is pale or thin or something like that. It was so long ago. And I said, okay, but what does it mean? Because I was actually there, I'm actually feeling some pain and so forth. And he said, yes, seems that you're pregnant, but something is wrong. So he's actually giving me something to do. Giving me a slip to go to do an ultrasound immediately, and then take back um, the whatever they gave me at the ultrasound place to him. So remember, I'm on contract. I wasn't financially stable at the time. A gentleman that I was actually living with also things were rough for us at the time. Alright, so I actually called him. He was at work and he said that he will be there shortly. I didn't I had some family here, but we weren't that close, so I didn't mention anything at all to them. Only a few would know after, and that's person that I actually talk to, or person that I tell my business to them. So I went to do the ultrasound, and they gave me back a paper, and I took it back to the doctor. When I took it back to the doctor said, "This is not good news for you, Miss Miller." Um, and he gave me another slip and said I should go to the public hospital immediately. So I was like, "Doctor, what is it? What is it? What is it?" He said that you were pregnant, and I'm seeing as if you lost it based on your work duty, because it seems as if you did some hackling or something like that, but you actually lost it. But the fact that you lost it, there were actually remains in your body that has to be flushed out. I basically snapped at the time. I snapped. I was like, what? What the? Nothing like that. This can't be possible. This can't be real. And I basically snapped, and he was like, "Is there anybody you can call to come to the hospital with you, because it's really an emergency?" And I called back my boyfriend at the time, and he said he will be there shortly. He's gonna tell his boss and then take the time, and he will meet me at the hospital. So he was asking if I was strong enough to go by the hospital myself. It's actually walking distance. But because of how I was feeling, I actually took a taxi. When I went to the hospital, persons were actually inside waiting, and they said I should give it to the security immediately. And when I gave it to the security, all I knew was the doctor came, and they came for me immediately, and I went inside the hospital. Um, they told me that there is no bed available because they're actually booked to capacity. But my situation was actually an emergency, so they are going to try their best to ensure that I get a bed soon. I was waiting, I was waiting, I was in pain. I was waiting for so long. I actually waited for um, 5 to 6 hours, because they did give me their assurance that they were trying their best. However, I was in so much pain. I'm done at the hospital. I basically snapped, and if you know me, you know that I am basically a social media person. So when I couldn't bear it anymore, I was like, I am going to call TVJ, I am going to call CVM, I'm going to get all the media houses involved, because I was actually there waiting and nobody's assisting me. But the truth and in fact was that yes, they did tell me that there is no bed available, and that they are actually trying their best. But in my opinion and in my eyes, I was a person that need assistance at that time. So I didn't care what they had to do. All I wanted was for them to do what they had to do, because I was actually feeling pain. I mean, I was feeling so much pain, excruciating pain at the time. And so they took me they took me in after about 5 6 hours, and they gave me some pills. Man, um, when they insert those pills inside me, I was basically out of it. I was out of it for like 2 3 hours. I didn't know myself. I didn't know anything at all that was going on, and so forth. And only thing I knew was that the following morning when I woke up in the hospital, I was basically asking for my boyfriend, and they said he was there all night, but I basically passed out and so forth. So he went home. So I actually reached for my phone and I actually called him and he told me that he was on his way with something for me to eat and so forth. So um, I was there. They told me in the morning that as long as I have someone to take me home, I can go home and finish the healing process there, because they actually need the bed because persons were having babies and so forth, so they need the bed. Um, Trust me, it wasn't a pretty sight. Um, so my boyfriend came for me and we had to buy all the medications that were needed. It cost, when I say it cost me, it actually cost me. And it actually cost me money that I didn't have at the time. Before they released me, they gave me a paper, asked me where I work and so forth, and they sign up a sick leave for me saying that I am not fit to work and I have to ensure that all the medications that they're actually giving me, I actually have to take them all off, and then I would have to go back to the doctor to ensure that I was physically fit to continue my work. Right there and then, I basically lose it again because guess what? I was in the middle of my contract. I was gonna get paid for those days that I was out. I didn't have money. Didn't have money. I was basically living hand to mouth. So to know that I wasn't getting any pay, and the bills were piling up, and so forth. Again, my boyfriend at the time, he was actually working hand to mouth as well. So basically, we pooled together to buy the groceries and so forth to make ends meet. But it was really, really a difficult time. All my little savings that I had at the time, it was actually used up on those pills, medication, and so forth. So my boyfriend knew how to stand the responsibility of the light bill, water bill, the groceries, and so forth. So it was really, 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 really rough at the time. Um, After that, I realized that things wasn't working out the way I expected to. So after I heal, I was at church one day, and all I heard the pastor was saying, "Sow a seed, sow a seed." I literally had the last $800. Literally had the last $800, and the pastor was saying, "Sow a seed, sow a seed, sow a seed, and you will be rewarded." I did, and I did give that $800. I mean, like the entire $800 I had at the time, I gave it to the church. The Monday morning, now when I woke up, I was like, I can't sit at home. The bills are piling up. Um, in terms of other bills that my boyfriend had, he actually took out a bike, and so we had loan and so forth. So you know that go. I was like, I can't sit at home, and hotels, it's just not working out for me. I really love the hotel because the tip and everything is good, but it wasn't working out for me because when I break every 3 months, 2 weeks without pay again, and then I would have to actually wait 1 month to get back pay again and so forth. And honestly, it wasn't the best paying hotel. It was one of those hotel. It was a 5-star hotel, but it wasn't the best paying hotel. So then again, and it wasn't tip free. So sometimes when you get your tip, you have to go and record those tips. Because if I don't record it and the guests say that they gave me a tip and they can prove it, you will be fired because it's not a tip free hotel. So majority of the time when you take tips there, you're actually running a risk. So what I usually do, if I get a $20 I would ask someone if they have any $5, and I would take the $4 or $5 and go ahead and lodge one of the $5. So in case the guests go to them, I can say I did lodge the money. Because the guest can say gave me $20, I can say no, it's $5, and actually lodge it. So that's how I had to work around the system to go home with some of those tips that I got, because I don't know who is who, and sometimes you heard that secret shoppers are coming, so you don't want to take those tips and be out of a job. And remember that you are a contract worker, so they don't really look out for contract workers. At the hotel, you're easily fired versus the staff, they have to go through a lot of process. So with the contract, they can terminate a contract at any time. Anyways, as I was saying, I sowed my seed. Monday morning, I woke up. I was like, I really, really, really need a job. And what I am going to do, I am going to walk the entire Montego Bay, um, trying to get a hotel job, asking if they. I know it wasn't possible, but I would like to know how long it would take for you to get staff. So I was just talking to myself, and I said to my boyfriend, hey, I need some cash. I'm going to print some application letters and some resume, and I'm going to walk Montego Bay today, because guess what? I saw my seed yesterday, and I so believe in Christ. I do believe that He's going to change the situation for us. So just give me a money, and I will print what I have to print and take the rest of my lunch and my fare and so forth. But I am going to walk today, because today is the day I am going to walk. And I did. He gave me $2,500. I used one of the $1,000 I print about six, because my resume was long, because I had a lot of experiences and so forth, so my resume was long. So when I spoke to him, I told him that maybe it's gonna take one resume is gonna take at least 2 or 3 sheets. um, so if I'm gonna print 3 sheets, I need at least five different resume, because I'm not going to just visit one place. I'm going to walk today. And he said okay. And I was there. I went in the town. I went to the printing shop, and I print those resume and so forth. And I was actually walking. I walked. Trust me, I went along the was it Baton Road, where Spanish Hotel is and so forth. Spanish Hotel didn't build at that time. It wasn't there at the time. I don't think it was there. I knew I went to I don't remember the name of that hotel around there, but Dr. Cave. Yeah, that's the last place I went. So I was walking along the stretch. I went to the Cameron, I think, and I went to couple hotel after I passed the Cameron, and everywhere I went, no miss, we're not hiring, no miss, we're not hiring, no miss, we're not hiring. And I said, could you please just take my resume? Can I speak to someone in HR? Security was telling me no, they're not hiring. Come back next week, or come back the other week, or last week they did a job fair or something like that. So I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And then when I reached Dr. Cave beach, I went inside and I asked the girl at the front, are you guys hiring? Because I really, really need a job. And she said, no, we're actually full to capacity, we're not hiring. And that's where I broke down in tears. I just started to let out everything. I mean, I was crying, I was crying, I was crying, I was crying. I was inconsolable. And the young lady at the time told me that, hey, we're not hiring, but have you tried a call center? And I'm like, no, I didn't. I don't know how that work. I've never worked at a call center before. And she was like, call centers are always hiring, so I am going to give you the number. She said, better yet, I am going to call them. And she said, let me see your resume. And I show her the resume. And when I showed my resume, she was so shocked. She was like, I can't believe you don't get any work. I can't believe you're not working. This resume is so good. And I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I cried, I cried. And she said, don't cry, don't cry. I'm going to call him for you. And that phone call that she made, it actually take a turn and change my life. I am going to tell you guys part two in the next update. Thank you very much for listening and look out for part two.